Everett. I'm Janelle.
And I'm Rachel.
And we are here to tell you guys about some upcoming activities and give you guys some of our guide insights. So, before I start, I just want to encourage you guys to join us and ask questions, really participate. We love when you guys ask questions, and we will do our best to answer them after the show. So feel free to comment away. And then let's do some trip recaps. So a couple weekends ago, we did a Bridal Veil Falls hike, which was absolutely gorgeous. The falls were running really heavily due to the snow melt, so we got to see a really great show. We also had a wine and paint night, which we painted a cherry blossom pathway scene. It was very beautiful. Everybody's turned out really unique, and it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, and then we had Earth Day up at Jim Creek, so we had about 100 little trees that we had a bunch of volunteers come out, and we planted them around Jim Creek, and we also did some other just kind of maintenance work around the lodge and made everything look just a little bit better. And then we also had Legend of Zelda adventures up at Jim Creek. That got a little rained out, but we still had quite a few people show up, had a lot of fun activities, had
the Seattle Knights were there.
Came out and did some sword play and had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah,
so
it
still turned out well.
It was very cool. Yeah. So if you guys have had a recent experience with us on one of our trips, we want to hear about it. So go ahead and comment below. The first person to share their experience with us will receive a $25 credit towards your next outdoor recreation trip. And I realized that I forgot a very important trip recap that we just did. On Monday, along with Whidbey Island, we climbed Mount St. Helens, and the whole group summited. We had 17 summits.
Nice.
It was a beautiful day. It was pretty hot, but it was a gorgeous climb, and the glissading was super fun. So it was awesome. All right, and now we are going to call in somebody new to the table today. So we have our newest outdoor recreation guide, Taylor.
Hello, everybody.
So Taylor, we've got a couple questions for you. Can you tell us about your previous experience with MWR?
So I got my outdoor recreation management degree from Western Washington University in Bellingham. And while I was doing that degree, I did my internship with MWR actually at Jim Creek through Naval Station Everett. And I got to work with Aaron Johnson, a really good recreation specialist, and that was very rewarding. And then a couple years later, we moved down to San Diego and worked at Naval Base Point Loma. And there, I led a lot of different classes. I did SUP yoga, sea coastal kayaking excursions, and all kinds of camping and hiking and stuff. So yeah, and then now I'm back up here at Naval Station Everett. So.
Awesome. Well, great to have you back.
Thanks.
Can you tell us what you're most excited for working here at Naval Station Everett?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up here, so I absolutely love exploring the Pacific Northwest, and I just love getting into nature and like helping other people experience nature, like seeing nature how I feel it, how I see it, and so I'm just really excited to explore areas of the Pacific Northwest I haven't seen yet, and stuff that I want to revisit. So yeah.
Awesome. And then, what is your favorite outdoor recreation activity?
I'd probably say just any kind of camping, tenting and hammocking. So, and I love hiking after a strenuous hike. I love it when the destination is a really nice like alpine lake or something to just cool off in. That's bliss for me. So
awesome.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. We are super excited to have you back on the team, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool.
See you later, guys.
All right, so we are going to give you guys some tips and tricks about choosing your sleeping bag. So we have here a Eureka Lone Pine 30 long. So that from the get-go kind of sounds like a bunch of mumbo-jumbo gibberish without knowing the context behind the words and numbers. So There are specific styles in sleeping bags, and each style is going to have a different use based on what activity you're participating in. So this one is going to be a mummy shape, and the mummy sleeping bags are really great for backpacking because they go over your head and kind of snug around your neck and your shoulders, and are kind of slim throughout the rest of your bag. So they're extremely lightweight and they keep more heat in so that it doesn't escape out of your head while you're sleeping. We also have regular rectangular sleeping bags, which are great for car camping because they're just roll them up and throw them out and go. And then we also have quilts, which are great for hammock camping because you can have a top quilt for warmth on top of you, and then you can also have an under quilt for warmth below you.
Yeah. All right. And then on sleeping bags, there's usually a comfort rating as well as a limit rating. So on this one, the comfort rating is 43 degrees, and that means that's what you're going to be comfortable at. You're going to be nice, warm, and toasty. And this is, if you didn't have anything else on, is what this is rated for. And then the limit is when 34 degrees is when you start to get a little bit colder, maybe not as comfortable. The extreme on here is 8 degrees. That just means that this bag will keep you alive at that. So not necessarily comfortable. You can have it in colder than 43 degrees if you put on other clothes with it, maybe a puffy to try to keep you a little warmer.
Yeah.
So.
Another important factor to consider is whether you're going to choose down or synthetic as the insulation for your sleeping bag. So down sleeping bags are extremely packable. They're very lightweight. The only downside about down is if it gets wet, it is not as effective as holding in the heat. So you might not stay as warm if your bag is wet. Synthetic insulation is not as packable, might be a little bit heavier than down. However, if it gets wet, it still retains its warmth, so it is still effective if it gets wet.
Yep. And then also another thing to think about is the length and male versus female sizes. So if you have a sleeping bag that is too long for you, you'll have too much space in it and you won't be able to heat it up as much. When I first started backpacking and I didn't have a lot of my own gear, I used an old sleeping bag from my grandpa, and it was sized for an adult man. And there was just a lot of extra space, and I was pretty much always cold when I was in it. And now I have one that fits me perfectly, and I'm always toasty warm. Also, between the male and female sleeping bags, the female sleeping bags are usually rated a little warmer. Yeah, because females sleep a lot colder than men.
Yeah.
So
doing your research is really important. Just figuring out what kind of specifications you are looking for, personal preferences, and just figuring out what is going to suit your activity the best. Yeah. So upcoming, we have this weekend 2 trips scheduled. We've got a lava tube hike down to Mount St. Helens on Saturday, which is going to be super fun. We will explore some of those lava tube caves with our headlamps. It's super dark in there, but it's really fun to like crawl through, and there's these big caverns and like smaller spaces to crawl through. So it's going to be really fun. And then Sunday is Mother's Day, so we are doing a Columbia Gorge wine tasting trip over in Eastern Washington, and that is going to be super fun. The weather is going to be fantastic, and I'm super excited. I'm probably going to take my mom on that trip. It sounds like a lot of fun.
And then on June 15th or May 15th, we're going to have a backpacking basics class. So backpacking is something that you've always wanted to do, but you don't quite know how to get into it or what you need to know to start out. You can come to the class and we'll just teach you just kind of the basics of what you need to know to be able to get out and do it on your own. Also, if you come to the class, you'll get a free first aid kit here with the charge of the class. And then on May 20th, we're doing Books and Brews. We do that every month. We just get together at a local brewery here. We usually decide on the book that we're going to read the month before. And then we talk about that and drink some beer, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. We also have a sup yoga class on Tuesday the 21st, which is always super fun. Rachel and I actually did our first class together a few months ago, and it was really, really cool. We really enjoyed it. We also have a Mount Adams backpacking trip on Memorial Day weekend, which is going to be awesome. We're going to be camping and hiking right in the shadows of Mount Adams, and it's going to be absolutely gorgeous.
And then on on June 1st through 2nd, we're going to have a rock climbing weekend over at Vantage, which is in the gorge area. And that's really fun because where we camp is right next to the crag, and we can have a fire, and it'll just be a really fun couple days.
Yeah, we'll teach you guys the basics, get you familiar with knots and how to belay, and it's a great beginner course if you're looking to get into rock climbing. And then we also have on June 9th, Whiskey and Waterfalls. So this is a new trip for us, but we are going to be heading out to see a couple waterfalls during the day and probably have a small hike to one of them. And then we are going to head over to a distillery and do some whiskey sampling. So it's going to be really fun.
And then up at Jim Creek coming up on June 8th, we're going to have the fishing derby and then the free family fun day. So you can just come up. We'll have a lot of different activities, fishing, just a really good time to spend with your family up at Jim Creek. And then also on June 21st through 23rd, we're going to do the Great Navy Campout, where we'll just spend the weekend up there. We'll have tree tents, different activities. We'll supply food. It'll be a really fun couple days.
Yeah, always a great weekend. So you guys know how to get signed up for our trips and classes. You can go on Facebook or Navy Life PNW to see what is happening. And then you can call us directly over the phone. You can use MyFFR, or you can sign up here in person in the office. We would love to see your smiling faces and answer any questions you guys have. Be sure to keep an eye out for any guide insights that we post during the next couple weeks, and make sure to join us next time on June 12th, same time, 6 p.m. for our next Facebook Live. Thanks, you guys.
Bye.